Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com, and welcome. Welcome to this week's live Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone joining in live. We've got a few people already in here. See, we've got Miles, Bubba Trolling, we've got Khaled, we've got Keenan, we've got, I think that's everyone that's already in here live. Just take a sip. Now I will say, you might hear my fan. I've just put it on. It's been on. I've just lowered the speed. We're in the middle of a heat wave here in the UK, and it is really hot. So I have to have that fan on because there's no way I can do an hour in this little sweatbox. Right. Nevertheless, lots and lots of questions this week, so I will be trying to jump into it. So let's start off with just a quick reminder about what the Q&A is all about. So each and every week, Patreon and YouTube channel members can submit questions in advance. Also, YouTube channel members can also join in live on the live chat and ask questions and interact. There's also a poll going on right now. I asked you all if you've seen Elio yet, or if you're going to be waiting for Disney Plus, or you're not interested. Anyone can do that. You can also use the super chat function, which helps support the channel and the podcast, which really makes a huge amount of difference over the last year or so. There's been some massive changes with how Google works, and so these shows are a vital part of the way that I can afford to kind of run the servers and everything that we need to. So let's jump into the questions. So kicking off first with the title one. So Miles asks, given that Pixar's and Disney's Elio is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, could this data contribute to building momentum by encouraging moviegoers to spread more positive word of mouth? So that was the question, but I kind of decided to expand it out a little bit more and ask, why are Pixar films underperforming at the box office? So let's talk Elio at the box office. I believe reports have just been coming out this afternoon. So it pulled in an estimated $21 million, which makes it the record low as the worst opening weekend ever for a Pixar movie. Yikes. So, so Elio has not had a good start. Now, it is going up against, I think, I don't know how to Train Your Dragon, that's had a really good weekend. Also, the 28 Years Later has also had a really good weekend. Though, let's be honest, 28 Years Later and Elio have a very different target audience. Now, I do think Elio has a chance of being a little bit of a sleeper hit. It's probably going to be having a good time over the next sort of 4 to 6 to 8 weeks. It might be able to creep up there. It might be able to do an elemental and kind of keep clawing people in. It seems a lot of people seem to be really excited about the film, and I've enjoyed going and seeing it this week. I am in the category of I'm going to wait probably for digital release or Disney Plus. It just isn't a movie which just has said to me, I have to go see it at the cinema. Now, there's a lot of talk about this, about why Elio seems to have fallen at the box office. And I have seen a lot of people talking about, the fact of people don't like original animated movies, and therefore, people ask for them, but then when Disney deliver them, no one goes and sees them. And there is kind of some truth in that. A new original is much harder to get audiences interested in. But you could argue then an Elio 2 could be more popular because Elio 1's existed. So I think there is a thing of people are less likely to go see something original. I do think there's a lot of other issues with Elio. I think the name of the film is very generic and doesn't mean anything. What does Elio mean? What is it about? Is there any, it doesn't do a very good job of setting up who he is, what he's doing, and why. Moana works because I just think Elio is just a bad name, and it doesn't mean anything. I think they should have gone with something else. I know Pixar seems to like just doing single word titles, but sometimes it's not good enough, and I think they could have called this something else. I don't know, alien abduction or killer aliens. I don't know. They just needed something to kind of sell this. because the marketing, I've seen a lot of people complaining about marketing, going, I've not seen any marketing for it. I've not seen any marketing for it. I've not seen any. And I'm like, I would disagree with that. I would say they have been putting out as many teasers and trailers as they do for every other movie. I have seen Elio appear on trailers have been running in front of other movies. They have been running trailers on TV. There's been running trailers on YouTube. Buses have been going by with great big Elio posters on, and that is kind of, there has been a marketing campaign. Yes, there's not lots and lots. Like, I've seen some people talking about like Happy Meals and all that lot. Well, I mean, here in the UK, I don't think they can even do toy Happy Meals because it's against the, they can't do toys with their food. So I think the trouble is what people are expecting from a marketing campaign doesn't really exist anymore. Or if it did, they're probably looking at like a $300-400 million investment in marketing, like with like Avatar or the event. They're not spending that much money on a movie that is not tracking that well. They do cut back the budgets when they realize what's happening. They'll see where the numbers are going and they'll spend accordingly. I don't think it's necessarily just the fact of the marketing. People like talking about, I've not seen anything. And then I would like to question them and kind of go, right. So do you watch linear television? Do you watch live television? Do you buy magazines? Is all you're basing it on is adverts on the internet that you're seeing, of which, they might not be advertising you as a target audience. You might not be what they're going for. I think some of the stuff with marketing, I've never heard of this and I've never heard of it. And it's like, yeah, but if you're someone that has ad blockers on and never watches live television, or you might never see an advert for it. I don't know. I do sometimes feel like with this marketing thing of marketing has changed, and they're not just going to be blasting it out everywhere because that costs a lot of money. And I just think they were trying to cut back. So I think the marketing problem, however, was more the fact that the marketing of the film was not very good in what it was trying to say it was. It wasn't very clear of what was going on, what it's about. And I think that's hurt it. I think there's not a lot of interest in it. I think the marketing has been very difficult in the idea of telling you what it's about. And you should be able to know what a Disney movie is about from just a poster, and maybe even sometimes just the name. The name to me is still one that is just so generic, so like almost they got caught up in the idea that they knew what it was about and kind of didn't really realize. Luca, they got away with it because it was straight to Disney Plus, and it kind of, Luca even there kind of indicates that it might, something Italian or something like that. But I don't know. I think Pixar really needs to start kind of being much better with its names and better with its marketing to get it much clearer of what that movie is about. Maybe, I don't know, call it Aliens. I just feel like it's really kind of needed a lot more. Let's have a look, see what you guys said. Yeah, so the thing is hydration is the key. Yeah. I got cola, I've got squash, I've got so much stuff. Miles says he's planning on seeing the movie since it's getting rave reviews. Yeah, I think that will help. Babak thought it was a great movie, which is good. Baba Trolling says I haven't got any interest in it since I have Disney Plus. I might watch it at some point. I think there is that element. What I meant, Disney's marketing team is giving more attention to Fantastic Four and not spreading the wealth around. I think you do sometimes have to think that Disney is different marketing teams and different marketing departments are working on these projects independently. They're not necessarily interconnected. And Elio didn't really start advertising until Elio and Stitch was out the gate. Miles says I saw some spots on social media, including, yeah, I mean, that's the thing with social media. They're going to be using it to get to that target audience. Miles says he's going to go see Elio at some point this week. So technically he said maybe later. One of the factors is that Elio is using new technology. Pixar has developed the film, most notably the interactive lighting tool named Luna. and Luna enabled the film's production team to utilize simultaneous lighting and camera work, allowing them to establish the film's aesthetic early in the process. There is that thing that I don't think people realize with Pixar is, like you said, they develop new technology and they include that in the cost of the film, but then that technology then gets passed on to the next film. So it seems much higher than it actually is. So yeah, that's a very good point. Kelly says the reason why Pixar films have underperformed is due to the lack of marketing, which is unfortunate since Elio was a nice movie. I don't necessarily think it's a lack of marketing. I think the marketing wasn't very clear of what the film was about. I don't think it helped with all the delays and the changes to the film. There is also, there is that idea that, audiences can wait for Disney Plus. And I think audiences, and I think this is another key element, it costs a lot of money to go to the cinema. If you're going on your own, like, if I go to the cinema, I can roll up, I'll get a free parking spot, I'll sneak in some snacks, go pay a £5 towards my cinema ticket, and it's probably cost me, including snacks, maybe less than 10 quid for me. But if my brother goes, suddenly then he's got to buy 4 tickets, and then he's got to buy snacks, and they're not going to want to sneak stuff in. They're probably going to want, he's probably looking at a £50 to £70 afternoon or morning out. So suddenly it becomes much more expensive. So I think we do need to associate that there's a lot of costs in going to cinema, depending on how much it is at your local place. And families are being stretched. There's the cost of living crisis. And also, I think families are much more, and people as a general, are much more picky of what movies they're going to go see at the cinema. I think there's very much that kind of event status. If they went and saw Lilo and Stitch recently, now they're like, okay, what's the next thing that I want to go see? How I Train Your Dragon is an established IP, so therefore will have got a lot of attention that way. The good thing for Elio is they have got the rest of the summer to try and pull some more money in, so there is that. But yeah, I think Elio is just a combination of it all. So jumping into the question Miles said about certified fresh and then spreading the positive word of mouth. I think positive word of mouth is the best thing because that's what's going to make people go. Personally, I couldn't give 2 hoots what Rotten Tomatoes say. I do not take that seriously. I never take it into consideration of any movie about Rotten Tomatoes. I couldn't give 2 hoots, as I said, being PG for that. Let's say you would use a different word if I was not online. I don't care what Rotten Tomatoes, because it's manipulated. Critic scores mean nothing in reality. You're going to send a critic that doesn't like kids movies from, like, I don't know, the Wall Street Journal, that's wants to watch some art house movie and gives that the best movie of all time, at which point I'd watch it and fall asleep. I don't. Critics, if the simple thing is, if you lot are all telling me it's a good movie, that is going to have so much more sway on me than a few critics. But yeah, so I think the positive word of mouth is the key thing here. And everyone that's seeing it saying, oh, it's a good movie, it's a good movie, that is what's going to do what Elemental did. Keenan asks, since some of the recent MCU films have been box office bombs, could we see the franchise ending after Avengers Secret Wars? Nope, because I think they've got 4 movies scheduled for 2028 now. I mean, I think 1 or 2 of them will probably get delayed. But yeah, Marvel ain't going anywhere. They just need a little bit of a soft reset and a little bit more attention to detail and lower budgets. So I don't think it's going anywhere. Elio asks, do you think ESPN flagship service will be successful? I think it will be successful. I don't think it's ever going to do what Disney wanted. If they think they're going to be able to reclaim the cash that they lost from cable, that's never going to happen. I think they're going to be disappointed with that. They're never going to be able to put that lightning back in the bottle and make everybody pay for sports, unless they decide to go the opposite way of start going, right, you know what might be better with ESPN? And this might be 2-3 years down the line. They go, you know what? We're going to put sports into Disney Plus. We're going to make ESPN, and then we're just going to increase the price for everybody. Put the price up $2-3 for everyone. and therefore we can get everyone paying for sports. I just don't think 25-30 bucks. I just don't know if that's going to work anymore with how splintered sports are. Kelly says, according to the Nielsen report, streaming has overtaken linear. What are your key takeaways from this? Not surprised in the slightest. This has just been growing and growing and growing, and every single day somebody else is leaving. Thousands of people are leaving linear every day. They are not getting new linear customers every day. If you've got, I don't know, an 18-year-old or 20-year-old moving out from their parents for the first time, are they getting cable installed? Nope. You're going to go straight to streaming. And that every adult that's moving out now is going to be looking to get themselves streaming. You've also got older people that are dropping, linear television because they don't want to pay for it, and it's getting more and more expensive. And yeah, they're kind of realizing, hold on a minute, is there anything on here that I actually need to watch? I think broadcast is probably it's going to be around a lot longer. I think that will cling on for a little bit, but I think cable and satellite is just going to drop off fast. Miles says, what are your thoughts on the Alcon Media Group acquiring radio show, Village Roadshows Entertainment Group's film library? Good. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really. I remember something about that, but I didn't really pay a lot of attention. Sometimes there's just so much information comes out, and if it's not like Disney related, sometimes I will just kind of sometimes just fly over it. It's been a busy week. Keenan says, do you think the concession stands feature is a great idea for Disney Plus? Because what if the kids try to buy with their parents' credit cards? Well, the kids are going to have a whale of a time. If the kids can use the parents' credit cards and they can get their pizzas and their candy, and they are going to have the best day ever. The parents, on the other hand, well, that's your fault for leaving credit cards around or leaving it linked to your Disney Plus account. That's on, it happens. I mean, I know my friend, they clocked up thousands of pounds worth of Apple purchases. It happens. Parents probably won't make that mistake a second time, but if your kids have got access to your credit cards and to your devices, you need to be careful. That's on you. That's no different than you leaving your wallet on the side with a £20 note sticking out of it. And yeah, kids might not steal it, but they might do. If they want something, it's no different. I used to remember my dad. He used to come home, from work, and he'd throw his trousers over the balcony. And all the coins would come down to the bottom, and then my brother would pick them all up, and that would be he'd be spending all that money. My dad never managed to keep any of his coins because they all would fall out. So yeah, things like that. Again, I think personally, and I have a little bit of a problem with a lot of these delivery apps, things like Just Eat and Uber Eats and DoorDash and all this kind of stuff. I think it's causing a big problem for people. I think it's not helping with health. I think having all this snack food and having especially takeaways. I mean, I had a Chinese takeaway tonight. It was our weekly treat, but I go to the shop and pick it up. I don't go and I don't have it delivered. First off, because I know I can go pick it up. It's be a bit cheaper, and ironically, I did actually work as a Chinese delivery when I was like 18, 19 in university. So I did do that job, but I don't know. I don't personally think it's a good idea. I think there's a lot of people getting into too much debt. And I think paying a couple of go to the supermarket, get in your car. If you need something, go and do it yourself. Because I think having everything delivered to your house and having everyone running around for you, I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's good from a mental state of thing. I think you need to get out of the house, go see people. You don't necessarily need to speak to the cashier, but get out, go and rather like if you need milk and bread and go and get it. Obviously not everyone can do it health wise and all the rest of it, but I don't think it's a great idea having everything delivered all the time. I think you miss out on parts of life that way. That's just me being an old man. That's just me being old. Miles, thank you very much for your super chat. Thank you so much. Could Senate Bill 630 production incentive for animation work to be made in California help benefit the studios like Disney, Pixar, and DWA? I would imagine so. I don't know much about the Senate stuff. I mean, trying to keep up with US politics is a whole other thing. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if it makes it easier and cheaper for Disney to produce stuff in California, that is great. And I think every area, every division, every country, every region, you want to encourage people to work there. And if you have to spend some money to make money, I don't see a problem. I would argue if they are investing that money and then the country or the region is not making enough out of it, maybe not. But I personally think, these incentives, it's good. I mean, London and stuff do it all the time. So I think that's a good move. Again, thank you so much for that super chat. That's fantastic. And thanks for your continued support. Matt says, how well do you think the Shark documentary will do next month? They'll probably do all right. They'll probably do well on linear, but they've also got a long shelf life. They'll be able to pick up views. But you've also got to imagine these are not expensive shows to make. And so therefore, a lot of them, they aren't going to cost a huge amount to make. The footage can also probably be used for other projects and can be sold on to other places. And yeah, it's no doubt a much cheaper show to watch. I'm looking forward to watching Brady Gregory's one because he always does really good shows. And also for me personally, I love sharks. I think they're fantastic creatures. I think they're amazing. Yeah, I think they are fantastic. And so yeah, I'll be checking out the Brady Greg. It's always nice having those special ones. Ricardo says, what I do believe the MC needs to change its name, maybe a new brand to appeal to audience in the same world but renewed, Marvel Films or something shorter. I think separating Marvel Television and Marvel Studios, I think that's enough. I think that would be good. Knoxwave, since the Ironheart and the Bear will release on the same day, which one are you excited for? And then Squid Game Season 3 will release on Friday. I'll be honest, I haven't finished Squid Game Season 2. I watched a few episodes and I completely forgot I was watching it. So I've got no excitement for Squid Game Season 3 now. I completely forgot that was even a thing. I am looking forward to watching The Bear. The Ironheart, yeah, I'll let you know about it on Tuesday because what do we see it? Babak says there's some rumors that Sony will buy part of Warner Brothers. If so, would Spider-Man go back to Disney? I've been hearing some reports that Sony are looking at maybe buying Warner Brothers. No, that wouldn't work because Sony would be buying something else. I think if Warner Brothers brought Sony, that would work, but not the other way around. Matt says, someone your channels are playing reruns instead of new stuff. What are your thoughts on that? Your channels are playing reruns. Do you mean my channel? Or I don't quite know what that means. Because my channel is not really doing reruns. I don't really know that one. Not sure. Keenan says, my grandparents still have linear television. Well, yeah, I mean, there is that thing but this is the problem of your grandparents have it. How, there's that kind of thing of that age group, unfortunately, is slowly disappearing. And so what's happening is there's less and less of them each time. But also, with my parents and my in-laws, sadly I've lost all of my grandparents now. They were all on linear because they wouldn't have been able to handle it. But like my in-laws use Netflix and Disney Plus and iPlayer, etc. So they still are, they've had a habit of watching linear television for decades. So that's much harder for them to break. I don't have linear. Well, technically, I do have an aerial in the back of the TV. I don't tend to use it because I can just use ITV or BBC to watch live channels. Because I still flick on to like news, the BBC News or BBC One and ITV in the daytime and watch. But I'm streaming it through the apps because it's better quality than through the aerial. But I think you're just gonna find that's happening less. I mean, my parents as well. they watch more on Netflix and stuff. I mean, I've been on at them to get rid of Sky for a long time because I just don't think they need it anymore. And then when I go, what are you watching? And they tell me, I'm like, well, why are you paying Sky? Because you know what? That's not on Sky. Babak says, will Disney launch ESPN internationally? So if so, what would be the next countries to get it? So ESPN is already available on Disney Plus in Australia, New Zealand, and across Latin America. I do think Europe is going to be the next. I think we're going to get it this fall. I think we'll get it either August or September to tie in with the launch of the NBA and the new UEFA. I think now that we know that we're getting live sports, they're going to need to have that ESPN hub. Babak says Marvel will never stop. It's a cash cow. Woohoo! Keenan says word of mouth was one of the reasons Mufasa was profitable. Yeah, that one definitely picked up a lot of interest. Matt says, do you think they're going to put more movies in theaters than on streaming? Yeah, Disney have gone all in on theatrical releases now. You are not going to get many straight to streaming movies. Most movies now will go to cinema for a little bit because they can then make money on cinema. They'll make money on digital. They'll then make money on physical. They'll then make money selling it to airplanes and licensing it out. They aren't going back to the days of, we're not going to see what happened in the pandemic. Keenan says, do you think it's a good idea to sneak in snacks to a movie theater? Of course. I've been doing it since I was a kid. I've always done it. I'm not paying £4 for a bag of Milky Bar buttons that I can buy in the supermarket for £1.50. I mean, they used to be a quid, but now they've gone up. There's no chance I'm spending £4 on a bag of chocolate that is 3 times the price. And it's like drinks and stuff. I will say, I mean, I do sometimes buy an ice cream at the cinema if I go to, not my local one, but if I go to like the big city, they have like a big Ben and Jerry's. But half the time as well, I don't like any of the flavors. But if I go somewhere and they've got a really nice ice cream cabinet, I will treat myself to an ice cream. But there's no chance I'm spending that much money on soda and crisps. And most of the time, I'm a bit of a bugger as I tend to like going cinema like 8-9 o'clock in the morning. So I'll just drive them past the supermarket. I'll just get a meal deal. Ricardo says that my local cinema cafe, the Elio teaser is played regularly since 2023, almost an entire year replaying the cinema until the second appear. I'm going to go see it soon. Good. Billy C says both Disney should not give up original stories despite them not doing well lately. I think they've got to mix it up. They have got to mix that all up. Let's see what we've got here. I'm just going to go up a little bit. Ricardo says there's a rumor that Sony would buy the rights. Do you think they would get? Yeah, again, that wouldn't have any impact on Sony, on Marvel at all. Have you heard about Disney and decided to stop making Marvel Studios Assembled specials? I'm honestly disappointed with that decision. Yeah, kind of. I mean, it came up in TV Line. I did do an article yesterday about it. Is it kind of a bit like, well, yeah, it's like I was a bit like, well, yeah, we kind of knew that because there hasn't been a new episode of Assembled in a year, in all year. We didn't get one for Captain America. We didn't get one for Daredevil. We didn't get one for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. We haven't got one yet for Thunderbolts. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get one for Ironheart because I would imagine they maybe filmed it because that show's 2 years late. Yeah, it's a bit like, I mean, Legends was kind of one of those things of we hadn't seen a new episode of Legends for like a year, and then we got one for Ironheart on YouTube, and it's like, yeah, because they probably made that one while they were getting ready to release the series. Yeah, I mean, Assembled it was that kind of thing of it was cheap, easy, original content to put out when they needed original content. People aren't watching it. They're not making it because people aren't watching it, and it's costing them more to make. And I think a lot of this stuff like DVD extras and all that kind of thing, Disney never really had stats, viewership. They put all these extra features on DVDs and stuff, but they didn't really technically know how many people were actually watching it. But with Assembled, they've got that data. Positive word of mouth being squat. Thunderbolts had positive word of mouth, and that film still underperformed. But if it didn't have good But I would argue with that because Thunderbolts did as well as it did because of positive word of mouth. If it was not very good, it would have taken a lot less. Keenan says people need to stop relying on sequels and enjoy original films. 100%. I don't want sequels all the time. Mario says, do you think that Searchlight Television arm of Searchlight Pictures could partner with 20th Animation for an animated show sometime? Probably not. I wouldn't imagine so. I think Searchlight have got a different kind of audience. Kelly says, do we have to pay attention to how well the second weekend does? Yeah, 100%. Elio box office mojo. I think that I'm just going to have a look here. So, Miles, you said 21 billion. I'm just going off of Elio box office. It just says no global. That's global, yeah. Because it pulled in only $14 million overseas. Yeah, 35 million globally. So yeah, it was 35 million global. Making it the lowest. Elemental pulled in 44 million worldwide. Yeah, not good. Yeah, not very good at all. Billy says, I believe Elemental didn't do very well at the beginning, but it did all right. Yeah, it did. It did do that. Ricardo, people, or I may say people on the internet, need to make their minds up, decide if they want original movies or not, or just acknowledge that they only could like to complain about everything. The internet is just it's become an echo chamber, and it's just become filled with hate-filled and rage bait to get you to engage with it, or engagement bait, I should probably call it, because that's where they make their money. Let's be honest. If you took the internet away, how much more are you going to enjoy that film any less? Are you going to enjoy the things you enjoy any less? Are you probably going to enjoy it even more so? There's very much a thing, I think, of the internet just means that people are just going to crap all over everything, because crapping all over everything makes more money. Bubbatronic says, do you think it will hit 250 million? I think it probably will do. The problem with Pixar now is like their recent story is not appealing to an audience, unlike Finding Nemo, Toy Story, Up, Coco. They're missing some. Yeah, I think also Elio did look very generic, and I think also that the other film studios and everything, you can make something look Pixar-y very easily, and I think Pixar needs to up its game to become a little bit more different and a little bit better. I think Elio is just being hit it's like a piñata. It's just being hit from so many different areas. Matt C, I was curious to see how much has changed for Elio, considering it got delayed a year. Part of it was due to the strikes, but they also retooled the movie. Apparently, yeah, I think they changed a lot. I think they did change a lot of it. I mean, the director changed, a lot of the characters changed. I don't know if there was the term about like eating kids or something like that. I think it went through a lot of changes. Matt says, when Hulu merges with Disney Plus, don't do more Hulu or Disney Plus originals. You're probably going to get a mix. At the end of the day, I think, again, just take it back to, does it really matter? I think Disney on a whole, the term original is becoming less meaningful because they are putting it out onto different places anyway. Like an original, put it out on cinema, put it out on television. They want to make their money. Babak says he saw plenty of marketing in cinema online for Elio. Miles says Pete Docker has been CEO. I think, yeah, that's all of them. Oh, thank you very much, Tough Luck. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you for your support. I feel Pixar originals underperformed due to marketing because unappealing trailers that are the worst cut, and I blame Bob Iger and Aziz Azar for this. I think there's I don't think you can. I think like at this level, Bob Iger is not doing the marketing campaign for these films. So as much as everyone likes to, he gets the blame for everything that goes wrong and likes to take the credit for everything that goes right. But he isn't the one making that movie. He's not the one doing the PR campaign. He just the head of the company. You got to remember there is tens of hundreds of thousands of staff working at Disney. He's not responsible for everything. So I don't think we can put that one on him. If anything, he's probably the reason why the film got delayed and they had to retool it. As far as the marketing campaign, I do think, obviously the head of marketing, but again, he will be overlooking all the marketing for all of the teams, and they will be putting, I don't know. I mean, I don't know necessarily if he will be individually signing off on every single trailer and advert there is. I mean, I would hope he would have had input, but again, he'll have teams doing everything for him. It'll be spread out between different people. People take more criticism than positive on movies on the internet. It's unfortunately as well the way that Facebook and Twitter work now. Negativity gets more clicks. If you go on your social media and you write on there, X, Elio sucks, I'm sure you're going to get a lot more attention than if you put on there, Elio was awesome. Matt says, when will Universal post stuff from Hulu? I'm thinking in terms of what might leave. I would imagine the Comcast stuff is probably will leave Hulu eventually. Anything that they've got on there that they own will probably be leaving at some point in the future. Matt says, what you said about DVD extras is interesting because Disney and other studios eventually decreased the amount of DVD extras less and less because people will buy physical media. So there is a precedent, 100%. 100% there. Barbatronic says, when do you think Discovery will move all of its content from Max? Not sure with that. It might be a bit difficult with how they do it. When I go to cinema, I stick to smart water since it's electrolyte bottled water, also helpful during the summer since it's hot outside. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to personally have, here I'd rather just have like mineral water or like spring water. I don't necessarily have the idea of having water that's been spiked with other bits, but I know it's generally also in America it's very different. How here we like natural water rather than, I know they have all these bits and pieces in it, but I mean I don't know what electrolyte water is. That like Lucasade? Is that like what it is? Kelly says, I believe that movies going to cinemas is a better place, and some actors like Tom Cruise and Shah Rukh Khan have contracts in place where their respective films must release in cinemas first. Yeah, but I don't know about Shah Rukh Khan, but Tom Cruise, yeah, I mean, he's just a bit weird already. Kelly says, no, most of my family are now cord cutters. I know one of my cousins is hardcore since he doesn't use a paid streamer, but sticking to free streamers and YouTube. Disney Plus is my default during the Hulu being part of it. I mostly use Netflix on Monday to watch Raw. Outside of Raw, I use Netflix on occasion for a show or movies. I don't watch a huge amount of Netflix. I mean, we've been watching a movie this afternoon, like series Waterfront. I have been watching Full Swing on Netflix. I watch like the WWE the premium live events on Netflix, but I find myself like I thought I wasn't going to, but when Raw and SmackDown and NXT went to Netflix, I still end up just watching the YouTube highlights because it's just that thing of like I don't have 3 hours for Raw and watching SmackDown and NXT with all the bloody adverts, or not even adverts, they're just posing things going, we'll be right back. It's like, oh, just get on with it. Ricardo says, apparently some stipulations for Sony says they can't own or distribute movies for a rival company for Marvel. That would make, well, maybe we'll see. I'm not sure on that one. Ricardo says, looking forward to next month when Disney officially owns Hulu and the international rollout says, I mean, we don't know if it's necessarily going to begin next month, but I think it would start probably pretty soon. So Suna says, what will be the future of Disney standalone app? I think for Disney Plus ain't going to go anywhere. Hulu's probably going to be around for a year or so, I would imagine. Miles says, The Wonderful Weird World of Gumball releases on Hulu on July the 28th, 4 days after they say it. What's your opinion on this? I think that's just luck of how the contract is. I don't think it's got anything to do with each other. Never seen the series, so I've got no view of it personally. Oh, thanks for all these super chats. Matt says, what do you think of the Kevin Feige leaving Marvel? Again, it's a lot of internet rumors and speculation, and let's just, random Marvel updates account 602 just puts out there Kevin is leaving and everyone just goes for it. And it's like, where did this come from? If I read it, and again, he's probably going to give it a bucket load of money to stay. Unless Disney go, yeah, but then he's not going to go. He'll probably end up having a distribution deal or some kind of production thing to go and do something. I might give him a Marvel show. Tough luck. Thank you so much for your continued support. I hope Disney chooses to let Pixar market Hoppers and Ghetto in appealing ways that they feel like events, especially since it's Pixar's 35th. Yeah, I think they need to be much better on the advertising. I know, like, a lot of people talking about, I think, like, the concept of, like, more toys and more merchandise and seeing stuff in their shops. But generally, kids are just buying less toys anyway. I think we're seeing a general decline in that type of marketing. So you're not seeing it the same way. I just don't think kids are playing with toys in the same way that they used to. And I think we are associating marketing with seeing pilefuls of toys in supermarkets. But I'm hoping that those films do get a lot more attention. I think they need to learn from Elio. I think Hoppers might have a bit of an easier thing because that sounds more fun. Does that make sense? And if they can get out the idea that it's a big, like, talking robot rabbit, it might work. Okay, give a big thank you to Matt for your super chat. How do you think that ESPN and merger will go smoothly or not? I think it will go very smoothly because they've already kind of done part of it. This is the only way I can ever say it. Disney have done a fantastic job of popping a frog in a pot of water and slowly pitting up the heat so the frog doesn't jump out and boil, and it boils. They have massively managed to get most Americans getting so used to seeing it in Disney Plus that when it actually happens, no one is going to bat an eyelid because it's already happened. And they didn't do any promotion for it all. They just threw it in there and just kind of went, there you go. He says, well, I could have made a goal and we could have had an extra 30 minutes. I think you're going to get it anyway because I've still got loads of questions to go through. Miles says, does that extend to Walt Disney Studios chairman? I'm not sure what question was that. Did I miss that one? There we go. Did I miss that one? Let's see if I can get that one. Let's continue going on. Miles asked, do you think that A24 will take a page out of Amazon MGM's playbook and establish an international theatrical distribution arm, give the studio greater control over overseas profits? Maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, A24 seems to be doing a pretty good job of what they're doing. I think Amazon seems to be looking at, I think they're actually looking at what Disney does and goes, actually, that's what we need to do. They seem to be coming into this much more going the traditional route and realizing there's some money to be made there and that it works better than Netflix's version. Thank you so much. Tough luck for your super chat today. Right about Pixar turning 40 next year. Oh, yeah. No, it doesn't. No. I suppose Pixar might turn 40. There's only been 30 years since Toy Story got released. Hope they celebrate with a celebrating 40 years variant of Pixar logo with Toy Story 5. Yeah, I mean, he scared me to death then because I was 14 when Toy Story came out. So when you said, like, oh, no. But yeah, so yeah, they're gonna do something. Matt also asked, do you think Disney could do music videos like MTV? Probably, but most of them now go on YouTube and Spotify. Kids are watching the music videos on there. I don't think Disney. It would make sense for put those videos on YouTube, on Disney Plus, and to do little playlists, but they don't seem to be doing much with it, which seems a bit odd. Elio says, if the ESPN flagship service fails, what do you think Disney would do? I think they will just merge it in with Disney Plus and just try and charge everyone for it, or they're just going to start spending a lot less on sports. Keenan says, do you think the CMA Fest should have been simultaneous with Disney Plus and ABC? Sometimes I think Disney needs to do this beside Dancing with the Stars. It might depend on the contract they've got in place of if they could do that or not. Also might depend on who the target audience is. While I would enjoy the Country Music Fest, is there a big audience watching on Disney Plus? I don't know. I wish they did do that a bit more. But they're also trying to keep people locked in on ABC. Mamo says, if Disney merges Disney Plus and Hulu, what do you think we'll do with the library content that's on Hulu but not on Hulu on Disney Plus, like Love Island UK or Modern Family? Modern Family is probably easier because that they will own it, and at some point that deal with Peacock is going to run out. I imagine some of the stuff like Love Island, that they'll either have to have it in the contract. I mean, it might depend, because if Hulu merges into Disney Plus, there might be a contract in place then that is just the Hulu contract in there, and therefore they could do it. But I think you're gonna see a lot of stuff leaving Hulu over the next year anyway. Kelly says, what are your thoughts on the Amazon ads announced their respective deals with Roku and Disney? Makes sense. I mean, they're already listening to us. I think it just makes sense for them to start integrating stuff like this, and obviously better for them. Probably worse for us, but it is good for them. Barbara Troning says, do you think the Discovery Plus will still be available at the end of Warner Bros. Discovery? I think so, because apparently it is actually profitable. So maybe that's got a chance. I think it's the only reason it's profitable, because it's just a load of cheap television. Mara says, what are your thoughts on the trailer for the new Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere, which premiered on earlier this line this week? I haven't seen it. I had a busy day doing other bits this week. When did that happen? I completely missed that one. I remember writing the article, but I don't remember actually watching it. Mama says, what do you think Fox would do a bundle deal with Disney or streaming services for the upcoming streaming service? Fox might try to. That's whether or not anybody else will. I think, to be honest, Fox seems to be more about doing bundles with traditional cable and satellite. They're just trying to keep those customers they've got. That's all that Fox platform is just to try and keep the customers they've got and not lose any more. They're just trying to stop the hemorrhaging, because they got so used to that money, and now they're seeing it slipping away, and they're not ready for it. Barbuck says, now that Frozen the musical is on Disney Plus, what other musicals do you think will end up on Disney Plus? I think anything that has been like Aladdin, which is no longer on Broadway or West End, I think should be done. I do think they should only put them out once they have finished their runs in theaters or around, West End, London, etc. I don't think it's a good idea to put them out while they're still in stage, because then people might not go see them. And at the end of the day, the whole point of theater is to have that in-person experience. I mean, it's like Lion King. I mean, if they filmed it, I mean, it's been around for like 20, 30 years. You could argue that is like, it's had its chance. But I don't know. I kind of like, I mean, I love going and seeing shows on the West End and Broadway. Whenever I can in London, I always do. When we went to New York last, we went and saw Mary Poppins. That was like the Disney one. Barbara Troning says, do you think Disney will make playlists for Hulu content after it fully operates it? Once it's fully integrated, they'll just go all in on that. I think that's what they're waiting for. Elio says, will not having the NBA in college football, they rejected them because they pay too much for the NBA UFC, hurt the chance of success with the ESPN flagship service? I think there's a little bit of readjustment within some of the sports territories. Of a lot of these sports companies have kind of got a little bit like they got used to having linear money, and linear money is disappearing, and streamers put a lot of money into a lot of sports and weren't getting the results that they wanted, like I think Apple with its soccer coverage. And I think they are starting to realize that maybe the deep pockets of Netflix and Amazon are going, well, we'll have it, but we ain't paying what you want. And I think, all the money that's being spent on these football team people and, the expensive contracts, I think we're going to go through an adjustment where they're going to, that's why they're all, a lot of it in the US, because it's a very different system there, of all these like local sports networks and stuff, why the sports clubs are still sticking with them, because they're still willing to go with the old system. But that isn't going to last forever. Sports is they're going to have a rude awakening with streaming prices, because they ain't going to get what they got with linear. Connor says, do you think that stand-ups comedy specials is a way of boosting content for Disney Plus? Netflix and Prime already have loads. Well, Hulu, they have a monthly stand-up special, and Hulu does seem to be adding in like an extra ones here and there. Stand-up, I think, it seems to be where comedy seems to be going right now, rather than sitcoms. Comedians are out on tour all the time. It's a good way of, you're going out on tour, film a special, you make some money off it, you get some publicity, it's cheap to make. I love going to see stand-up comedy live. Anytime someone comes around near my local area, I would usually try and go and see it. I like, and that experience is great. And I'll be honest, I haven't watched many of the Hulu ones, because I don't know who any of them are, and sometimes the American stand-up's very different to UK stand-up. I mean, I've gone to see like Jimmy Carr live like 4 times, so he's very different. But I do find I do like stand-up, but I think it's a great option, because there's just not enough comedy out nowadays. Kelly says, what was your reaction when Netflix and TF1 did a deal in France to carry a live stream of the channels? So I think that was very much kind of France is very unique in its situation, because it's kind of has to do stuff differently, and Netflix has to play nice with the government, and I wonder if that's part of this. And I, again, think that we're going to start seeing some changes with how these companies start dealing with these big brands, because television is changing, the formats are changing, and some of them are desperately clinging to the old ways. And this is a new, Netflix is looking for alternatives, and that might get them a better deal in France. It might try and boost their viewership. But things are changing, and some of the countries and stuff are all coming up with unique ways. I think this is going to be something that we got to keep an eye on. Matt says, why doesn't Disney do more Westerns? I would imagine that that's not necessarily just Disney. It's all the studios. They do stuff because people go and see it. How many Westerns get made nowadays? And also, Westerns typically appeal, they overdid them years ago. But now I would say the modern Western has become like Yellowstone, and shows like and Reacher. They're much, you can watch TV show. I think that's become more of like what a Western is nowadays. And I also think audiences today, older audiences might want a Western, but I don't know if younger audiences necessarily want that kind of looking back at the Wild Wild West as like a good time. I just don't. It's been done to death, and I think it's primarily. And also, does it sell well internationally? Is a Western going to work well? Show about Texas or Wyoming or something like that. Is that really going to sell to China and Europe and other countries? I think that's something to definitely take into consideration. I wish they did more. I would be nice to have some bit more variety, but I think now like the Yellowstones are kind of picking that list. Thank you so much, Derek, for your super chat. You guys are fantastic today. Really makes such a difference. So thank you so much. With Warner Brothers Discovery splitting into 2 companies, do you think they'll continue offering a bundle with Max and Discovery Plus? I think they're going to try and do some kind of weird bundle where you get like Bleacher Report, Max, Discovery Plus, and CNN Plus all put together, and then they're going to try and sell you a bundle a bit like the Hulu one, because they realize people will be more likely to buy a bundle and keep everything. That's my guess. I think they're going to go down the other way of kind of making it look like they've got a big variety of stuff, when in actual fact it's just less. Stand-up comedy is usually for adults. Yeah, I would say so. But there's nothing better than when you're a teenager watching stand-up comedy that you aren't supposed to watch. Okay, so remember the trade said they don't expect Netflix to do these kind of deals in the US due to remission fees, similar linear demand. I think there's a big difference again between international and so on. Matt says Disney Plus, there's a stand-up collection. I think there is one in the UK. A lot of those like collections haven't quite kind of gone out internationally everywhere. So I'm just going to finish off the pre-done questions. Make sure that they're all done. Babak says the throwback playlist keeps talking about how streaming all summer long. Do you think summer they'll change it up? Yeah, they'll probably flick it over when all the kids go back to school in the US. Bubba Tron says, do you think Disney will make more Disney Plus original movies or just Disney Channel original movies? I think you're going to get one or two Disney Channel or Disney original movies, as they call them. But I think the concept of a Disney Plus original movie, I think whatever is maybe being made now, maybe, but you're not going to see many of them. And Matt says, what's going to happen to all of Hulu? Oh, we did that one. All right. So now we're just going to be on the live stream for the rest of the show. Let's see what we've got here. So Suna says, when will the Hulu and Fubo merger TV happen? Because I want Disney and Hulu merger happen this summer. I don't know. I mean, unless they found a way of speeding it up and get it through. I mean, it could just happen. They did say it could take a year, but maybe once the Hulu deal is finalized, it might be able to speed it up. I don't know. Any way you look at it, I think even if they merge Hulu in with Disney Plus, Hulu will probably still be around on its own for like 6 months to a year anyway. Keenan says, I'm also a country music fan. That's why I asked about the CMA specials. Yeah, no, great. I love country music. Noxway says, since Lilo and Stitch is doing well at the box office, do you think Disney will resume the production of the Tangled live action? I've been hearing they've been waiting to see what happens with Moana. Lilo and Stitch, again, they've got to be careful that they hit something good and then try and doing something. Lilo and Stitch is so different than other live action remakes. It is a franchise that they've not really utilized in that same way for movies and shows in the last 20 years. It's also a modern story in the way that it connected with nostalgia with older parents, but it's also set in modern times. So it's a lot. While it is obviously a live action remake, I think there's a difference between trying to do a princess one. Tangled obviously is a little bit more modern in the way they did it, but I think Disney is also maybe aware of the fact of, let's get this one, let's do Moana, and just do one at a time. That might be a better way of doing it. Matt says, what are your thoughts on Disney getting shows from CBS and Warner Brothers? Why not? If they can license a show and get movies and stuff, and it boosts up the streaming service with more options. They're adding like Transformer movies and stuff in the UK soon. Yeah, sounds good to me. I think we've just got to get over the idea that Disney's for Disney, Marvel, Warner Brothers is Warner Brothers, and Paramount's for Paramount. That's all disappearing. Mark says, do you think the heat wave in the US, UK, and Ireland might affect the office weekend opening and prevented moviegoers heading to the cinema because of the extreme warm weather? So this one in the US, probably not, because I could imagine that people might go to the cinema because it's air conditioned and it's nice. Here in the UK, no, because if it's a nice weekend, no one's going to go and want to sit in a stiffy, stucky cinema, and also we will want to make the most of this good weather because it could be raining tomorrow. Matt says they kind of do right now since Hulu has Mentalist. Cheers, Mum is also on Disney. Keenan says the problem with the Aladdin musical that it's not leaving anywhere time, even in London, or even Lion King. I highly doubt we'll get Aladdin and Lion King Broadway on Disney Plus. Yeah, I'm not entirely convinced. Anything that's still active. Mara says, do you think that Jeremy Allen White could host Saturday Night Live and serve as a musical guest to promote Springsteen? Very likely. I would imagine so. Matt says, do you think Disney Plus could do pay-per-views like sports? I mean, they could do. I mean, they might do it for like UFC events, but also that format, I don't know if people will put up with it the same way they used to. I mean, I know I'm not doing that. I mean, I would never buy an AEW pay-per-view. If it was on normal TV, I would probably check it out. It's why WWE went over to premium live events, because people weren't willing to, the days of me spending 15, 20 quid on a pay-per-view, and that was like 20 years ago, and I used to do every single month I used to do. Yeah, I just don't think people are willing to do that anymore. Okay, so Paltrow said they're willing to renegotiate for less money. Yeah, I think they're just going, yeah, we'll have it, but we ain't paying you what you want for it. At the end of the day, Disney is only willing to pay what it wants. And if the MLB are like, well, we want more money, and they're like going, no, I'm not giving it to you, go somewhere else. And they go everywhere else, and everywhere else goes, no, we ain't paying you that. Suddenly then they might realize it's maybe not as valuable as they once thought it was. Mario says, do you think Elio's earnings could improve with the summer holidays? 100%. 100%. Kelly says, I think we've reached a point with sports right fees peaking since no one wants to overpay for Formula One. ESPN, they're open to staying in business with the UFC, but on a non-exclusive basis. I think you're going to start seeing them. What they're going to start doing is they're going to start chunking up the viewing stuff so that nothing is exclusive. So, I don't know. Formula One's a bit difficult because you've got but maybe non-exclusive might be one way of doing it. So two different networks have it, but also the sports companies also want to reach more audience, because that's the other problem. Putting it behind a paywall does cause problems for not being able to grow. Because I think that's something that I think WWE is probably going to do much more better at, is growing its audience. I know people keep saying the viewership numbers are down. Like, yeah, but you're trying to compare an apple to a sausage. It's not the same. Okay, so remember the trade says they didn't expect Netflix to do kind of deals. Oh yeah, we did that one. Matt says, why hasn't Disney done more westerns since how the Lone Ranger did back in 2013? Yeah, see how that one went. Yeah, and even like John Carter was kind of a western. There's been a lot of westerns on Netflix. There was another one I watched recently. That was pretty. It was pretty brutal. Well, it says Martin Scorsese's upcoming adaptation of Eric's The Devil in White City. Could they team up with Tony to adapt the book? Probably. I don't know too much more about that one. Mark says, when do you think they'll merge Hulu with more content like that catalog? Maybe. I think they're going to get more of it in there. Kelly says, I know earlier this week GMA did a tour of their New York City headquarters. Find it fascinating that 17 Hudson has them all under one roof. Well, it makes sense to do so. I remember when I was in New York. Oh, actually, it was for WrestleMania. What was it? WrestleMania 20? Was it WrestleMania 20? No, it was actually a couple of years before that. So it was 2002. Went to New York, and I went and did the Rockefeller, and then we went inside and we saw some of the sets and stuff. It was fascinating. I would do that again, but I know when we went last time, my wife was like, I don't want to go see TV's things. But yeah, I think it's great having it all in one place. Apparently, Kusha worked with the director Sony on Munich. Well, hopefully. I mean, I would imagine they would do. Matt says, do you think Disney will take away shows like in the past as tax write-offs? Personally, though that method is probably less likely now, because I think films, first off, with them going through the window system of theatrical, digital release and all the rest of it, that you can't then do that because you've made money off of it at different areas. So I don't think you're going to get that. I think also the amount of shows being picked up and made into shows has drastically reduced. And now that they're making a profit, that they can kind of offset a little bit of that. And then they're just going to license it out to other platforms. I think, like, I recently saw Shard Lake was on like ITV here in the UK. I think you're going to see more sharing and more just licensing, because I think they realized it wasn't very popular. But also, more importantly, if you don't make rubbish in the begin with, you don't have to write it off. I think that's the big one. When will Boy Meets World be on Hulu again? I mean, that's very much a Disney show. So I think that they've just been blurring the lines of between the two. So I wouldn't necessarily say they're going on it, because apparently they've been adding Disney shows on the standalone and Marvel movies. Again, all this is all just about like blurring the lines so people can't. So the Hulu people are used to seeing Disney stuff, because like you said, it's all about just kind of tickling and getting people used to it. Mara says, do you think that Bob Iger gets unfairly scapegoats whenever a new Disney film underperforms at the box office its opening weekend? Bob Iger does get the blame for everything. You could go into a theme, if you're at the Magic Kingdom today and the toilet paper's gone in your stall, Bob Iger gets the blame for it. He is the scapegoat for everything that goes wrong. And now, obviously, there are some things that happen. He is the blame for it. But it does seem, especially in the Disney audience, now it's like anything that's wrong with it is his fault. Heaven forbid that there's executives and hundreds of people working under each division that are also coming up with ideas. But obviously, Iger gets all the blame. But that's why he gets paid all the big bucks. And I'll be honest, I'd be paid his amount of money if I took the blame for it all. Yep, you can tell me whatever's bad, but I'm sleeping on a big pile of money. Matt says, do you think they'll put cricket on Disney Plus? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if they would do. I'm not sure on that one. Miles says, I do agree with the box office will certainly improve thanks to rave reviews. Yeah, that's definitely going to help. What genre do you want to see more of on Disney Plus? Comedy. Comedy. I would like to see a return of the sitcom, and a proper sitcom, and let it grow. Let it have time. Don't rush it. Don't try and make it. I don't know. I think sitcoms. You think of like Friends and Big Bang Theory and Seinfeld and all these fantastic shows. And now they just don't seem to be able to do anything like that. And I don't know if it's because the writers coming up underneath can't seem to understand what, like, the average Joe is and what's funny and what isn't. I don't know if it's because they're too overly sensitive of what they're making, so therefore they can't seem to do anything. But like things like Modern Family, we just seem to have lost the sitcom. Because I've been watching like Not Going Out recently, and it's like it is awful, it is stupid, but it's like there's hardly any around at the minute. And the ones that they do bring out, like adults or anything like that, they're trying to be edgy, and it's like I don't just make a single episode with a single story and just play out for years. I don't know. That's for me. Says, I hope that Seven Hudson becomes a tourist spot with public tours, similar to what 30 Rock does. Yeah, it'd be nice to see if they did that. I'd definitely do it. Okay, so if we do see cricket on Disney Plus, it'd be likely to them doing a distribution deal with Willow. Yeah. I says, could this teaser for Hoppers, which was shown at the end of Elio and Sinners, be released online? Yeah, I would imagine it will be. Right. So last call for last minute questions before we wrap up for the day. So again, I'll be back next week for another live Q&A. So make sure you keep a lookout for that, especially Patreon and YouTube channel members. Keep a lookout for the post later in the week. So Tina says, do you ever think that family shows will ever be a thing again, especially black sitcoms like they were in the 90s? We had Fresh Prince, Hanging with Mr. Cooper and the Parkers. Yeah, I mean, I think the trouble is like those shows. If you imagine if they brought out Fresh Prince now, I mean, it would be labeled as, woke and all this kind of stuff. But we grew up with it and didn't think anything of it. It was, I grew up watching, Mr. Hanging with Mr. Cooper and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air after school. And, okay, maybe not the best, Cosby Show. and Desmond's. I watched all those shows, and I mean, I really enjoyed Blackish as well, recent as a newer show. I grew up on all those shows, and it's just like, yeah, it'd be just nice just to see that stuff, but also not make it, in some ways, make it for everyone. But I don't know. I don't know if the executives and the creators and the writers and stuff can do that right now. I think there's just too much activism going on in everything, and they just can't. They can't tell a story that everyone can enjoy properly because they get a bit carried away with trying to be. I don't think they can do the story that everyone around the world can watch and enjoy. I just don't think they can do that right now. Matt says shows like medical and police dramas do well on streaming. Yeah, I mean, there's speaking here in the UK, we don't need any more police dramas. We have thousands of them. I think we have more police drama shows about murders than murders. There's that many of them. Well, since Hopper's released in cinemas, could it be part of the Dublin Film Festival? If it's around the same time, it would make sense for it. And yeah, it would have been very different to that one. And could Disney Plus stream more music events such as Glastonbury? It all comes down to how much the events want to charge and whether or not Disney feel there's an audience for it. Now, Glastonbury here is always obviously airs on the BBC, but they're going to have their budgets cut. So, on that note, I would like to say a huge, huge thank you to Miles, Tough Luck, and Matt, and also Derek for your super chats today. That is fantastic. I really, really appreciate it. It really makes so much difference. As I said, with the way that the Google has changed and everything, your support really does mean a huge amount, and it makes a big difference, and it allows these shows and stuff to continue to happen. But again, thank you so much. And on that note, guys, thank you very much, and I shall see you guys soon. Laters. Tally-ho. Toodaloo.